It does take more than one. You've tried it on your own, not working. Move away from your private adventure in front of the laptop's glowing screen. Look up from your soiled lap. Return the toilet roll to the bathroom. A small, quiet mess is not a life. Take a chance. Ask Janet out. She is in this world for a short time, like you. See, you do have something in common. People underestimate the similarities they share on account of what waits for them at the end, which is not, by the way, a suggestion to bring it up. Talk of mortality as an opening gambit is pretty much a buzzkill. I agree, when Janet passes your office desk, she does exude what could be interpreted as a mild case of contempt. It does seem subtly directed at you. I want to emphasize the word subtle here. It is not extreme, it is not hate. And listen, Janet is the only uncoupled woman you know. And whatever way you've been broadcasting your appeal on romance-promising websites, it's not working. You were shooting for originality, didn't want to go with the walks on the beach, trip to the wine country route. But posting a prose poem on the unexpected romance that blossoms from a carjacking may have been taking the original approach in a worrisome direction from the point of view of potential respondents. There were one or two, but I can tell you for a fact that the woman you were scheduled to meet last Tuesday at Phil's Coffee, the blonde whose dating website name was Sandra, was the very same woman who, when you went up and asked her if she was Sandra, lied, telling you her name was Candace and that she was waiting for her husband. She was not waiting for her husband. She has no husband. Up until you walked in, it was you she was waiting for. Don't spend a lot of time thinking about this. Let's say initial impressions are not your strong suit. It doesn't matter. Initial impressions are mostly fraudulent, which brings me back to Janet. She at least knows you. Over the years, she's laughed at one, maybe two of your jokes. Value those memories. Read things into them. Janet's not involved with anyone, hasn't been for years. Her volatility, her high decibel rages may keep men at bay. I know you've been on the receiving end of those, but you were missing deadlines and she is on the company leadership team. She's got a job to do. Ask her out. Both your clocks are ticking. She might want kids. After a while, you can talk her into anger management class, especially if she wants kids. You don't want her going ballistic on the toddlers. Perhaps she's great in bed, whatever that means. You've heard it said, it's brought up everywhere, but you've never had the nerve to ask someone for a definition. What you know so far is this. If a woman takes off her clothes and gets in bed with you, that pretty much comes down to great. The great in bed sentence, bandied about so casually by so many who frighteningly may in fact know what it means, makes you anxious, since no former girlfriend has ever described you that way. Life's a risk. Another person is a nerve-wracking proposition. So what? Just ask. At a minimum, you'll surprise her, and she could use a surprise. You were by the water cooler with her. You planned it. Good work. She got back early from lunch. You didn't go to lunch. You just waited. You kept getting up from your desk, peeking into the hallway, praying she'd be back first, praying she was one of an ever-increasing number of people focused on hydrating themselves at regular intervals. You've skipped a lot of lunches waiting for this to work out. And she's back way early, 15 minutes or more. The office is quiet as church. What are you doing here, she says. You've never noticed it before. She has a small gap between her front teeth. How could you have missed that? It's terribly appealing. An opening where you didn't expect to find one. You're not going to believe it, but I want to ask you out, you say, taking pride in your moment of valor, no matter how tentative it might sound. Janet looks at you as if she was studying a very unusual plant, one she has never seen and does not know the name of, but that has somehow suddenly popped up in her garden. The fact that time is passing by and she has not said the word no, or started screaming at you about the utter disregard for the standards of the workplace you are demonstrating by your dreamy, trance-like staring at her front teeth and your bizarre request to date her, this very fact, along with the stunned silence the two of you share, has your body begin to respond as if in fact she will say yes. As if at some inevitable time in the future, this fearsome and attractive member of the company leadership team will be treating you to undreamed of sights and experiences. The two of you are at her place. You think the risk of failure, which is the risk of life, isn't it, every minute, is lower. You've made it from the water cooler to her actual home. You are through the door. It's true, she did have a cocktail at dinner. But she appears in charge of her wits. You must be likable, you must be of interest. Surely you are not through the door solely on the strength of one quickly consumed alcoholic beverage. Janet is on the company leadership team. She is a substantive person. Mild inebriation would not diminish her character or reduce her standards. Although it may lower her expectations, would not be so bad. Not long after you enter her habitat, she sits comfortably down on her beige Italian leather sofa in her spare but tastefully appointed living room, kicks off her shoes and curls up her legs. Because you are in her house, because she has let you in, you are, let's say, newly entitled to take a seat beside her. On account of such mounting evidence, there is the understanding that there will be a kiss. Something has to come next. You remember the beginning of this kissing business, how you stumbled into it at 14. You'd lived a sheltered life and certainly hadn't imagined it to be the way it turned out. A welcomed entrance into the watery, dark cave of another person's complete and total mouth. An exploration of mystery and delight, possessing an ecstatic quality, one more astonishing than a triple scoop of ice cream with an open bar on toppings choices. At that tender age, it was inconceivable that a girl who had initiated you thusly and provided safe passage into her extraordinary cavity, from where at other times her sardonic teenage sentences were launched with aplomb, that same girl who had ushered you into a realm and onto a ride more exhilarating and transcendent than any dreamed up by Disneyland, would be bestowing much the same rapturous treatment on an entirely different boy a mere 2 weeks later. Adult pain made its first showing. It hurt like hell. You told your mother. She showed no sympathy. And now, just shy of middle age, you discover again a magic you assumed had long since expired, killed off by the adult reality of too many choices, meaning specifically the choices all four of your ex-girlfriends made after sampling you. Because tonight, your tongue, the tongue that is uniquely yours, the one that came with your body, has been given the right and privilege to pay a visit to that heart-stopping little gap between Janet's two front teeth. Take a bow. You begin again. Every feeling of defeat, every oddly written and possibly ill-advised dating website personal profile, every petty humiliation suffered at the hands of desire, every lonely and basically unimaginative sexual fantasy you've ever subjected yourself to will vanish into forgotten dust. Here's what you will call it. You will call it the past. Oh.